In the last lecture, we have discussed actually the aberration of light. You have seen that actually due to the relative motion between the source and the observer, there is an apparent change in the direction of propagation of light, and that apparent change which appears due to the relative motion between the source and the observer is actually known as aberration of light. In fact, in first lecture on this aberration of light, we have considered a star and light actually were coming from that star, and that coming light was actually observed by the observer situated in sun's frame and the earth frame. The earth frame was actually moving with respect to the sun's frame with a constant velocity v, where v is actually the orbital speed of the earth. And we have obtained the result which shows actually that the direction measured by the observer O and O prime were not same, and so aberration has been explained. Now in this lecture, or you can say the second part of the lecture on aberration of light, same thing is again to discuss, but here the situation we consider just opposite. You can see that we are now, instead of considering the light coming from a star, now let us consider light signal is emitted from a source at the origin of this system S prime. Again, you can say that this S prime is a frame associated with the earth, and it is moving with a velocity v in positive x direction relative to the frame S, which is associated with the sun. And we have assumed that the source of light is actually situated at the origin of this frame S prime, and this source actually emits the light signal, and this emitting light ray is propagated in space, and when the observer O prime of the frame S prime measures the direction of propagation of this light ray, what is his measurement? According to this observer, the light is propagating making an angle phi prime with this x prime axis. Actually, this you can say this, see this figure, that this is actually the direction in which the light is propagating with a velocity u prime with respect to this frame S prime. Actually, this velocity vector u prime is lying in x prime y prime plane. And when actually the same signal is observed by the observer of a stationary inertial frame S, the angle corresponding to this phi prime is actually this phi. So you can say the direction of propagation of light measured by observer O is phi, and with respect to observer O prime is phi prime. We will again see that these two directions, phi prime and phi, will be not same, and technique of solution of this problem will be like just the previous lecture. We will actually use the velocity transformation equation, and we will try to relate these phi prime and phi, and after getting the result you will see that these phi prime and phi are not same. So first of all, let us resolve these velocity vectors u and u prime into their components, and from this figure you can see what will be the components of the velocity vectors. And again, one thing here is remarkable, that according to the second postulate of special relativity, the magnitude of these velocity vectors u and u prime will be same, and that will be equal to actually c. Although directions will be different, but the magnitude of the two velocity vectors will be same. So you know that u is actually the velocity of propagation of light as measured by the observer O, and u prime is the velocity of same light propagating with velocity u prime as measured by the observer O prime. So u is equal to velocity of light measured in frame S, and u prime, this is velocity of light measured in frame S prime. And from this figure you can easily calculate what are the x and y components of this velocity vector. You know these velocity vectors are actually lying in xy plane, so z components will be 0, so only the non-zero components will be x and y components, and that x and y component you can easily find. See here, this vector u is actually making an angle phi with x-axis, and this vector u is lying in this condition in first quadrant. Since the vector u is in first quadrant, so both of its rectangular components will be positive, and you can see what will be those. So now you can write the x component of this vector u, we will denote it by ux, and you can see that this will be mod of u into cos phi. But according to second postulate of special relativity, modulus of this u will be c, so this will be c cos phi. Similarly, you can find its y component, and you know this will be mod of u into sin phi, and again mod of u will be c, so this is c sin phi. Similarly, you can find u prime x. See this figure. The vector u prime actually makes an angle phi prime with x prime axis, and it is also in first quadrant. So both of the components of u prime will be also positive. And what will be those? So u prime x, you can see this will be u mod of u prime into cos phi prime, and again modulus of this u prime will be c, so this is c cos phi prime, and similarly u prime y will be mod of u prime sin phi prime, and this will be c sin phi prime. Now, as I have told you in the first lecture on this subject, that our aim is actually to relate these two angles phi and phi prime. So for that we actually use the velocity transformation equations. So the relevant velocity transformation equations which will be needed here, we will first of all write, and then we will do the appropriate calculation. So let us see, according to velocity transformation equations, velocity transformation equations. You know u prime x, you know this is ux minus v over 1 minus v by c square times ux, and you know that u prime y is what? This is in fact uy times root over 1 minus v square by c square and divided by 1 minus v by c square ux. Now to get the desired result, we will simply divide this u prime y by this u prime x. So you can see, when we will actually divide this u prime y by u prime x, actually the denominator of these two will cancel out, and the result will be simply what you can see here. So u prime y over u prime x, what will be this? You can see this will be actually uy into root over 1 minus v square by c square and divided by ux minus v. Now let us substitute the values of u prime x, u prime y, ux and uy as we have obtained here. See these values. These are actually the values of the components of velocities. So when we will substitute these values, what will be our result? You can see. You know this u prime y is actually equal to c sine phi prime. U prime x, this is c cos phi prime. Uy, this is c sine phi into root over 1 minus v square by c square and divided by ux. You know ux is c cos phi and minus v. You can see this c and c will cancel out, and sine phi prime by cos phi prime, this is tan phi prime, and this is c sine phi into root over 1 minus v square by c square. And now let us take this c in denominator as a common factor. So what will be our result? This will be c into cos phi minus v by c. And so you can see this c will cancel out, and our result is tan phi prime equal to sine phi into root over 1 minus v square by c square and divided by cos phi minus v by c. Actually, this is also a very important result. This is also, you can say, a relativistic formula for aberration of light. But here we will actually simplify the RHS of this equation to some extent, and for that we will take this cos phi in denominator as a common factor. So when you will take this cos phi as a common factor, what will be the result? You can see tan phi prime is equal to, you can see this is sine phi into root over 1 minus v square by c square, and in denominator we will take this cos phi as a common factor, and so here will be 1, and the second term will be minus v c cos phi. Now again you can see in RHS this sine phi over cos phi, that will be tan phi, and so we can write this equation in this manner: tan phi prime equal to tan phi into root over 1 minus v square by c square and divided by 1 minus v over c cos pi. Actually, this is the relativistic formula for aberration of light, and it is obvious from this result that tan phi prime is not equal to tan phi, and you can say that phi prime is not equal to phi as long as this v is non-zero. That is, when there is a relative motion or relative velocity between the source and observer, then actually the direction measured by the two observers in two inertial frames of different state of motion will be actually different. So it is obvious. I will write these things after some time. First of all, let us write the inverse of this equation. You have actually written several times inverse of a relativistic result. So following the same technique of writing inverse, you can write its inverse here. So inverse of equation A1 is, you know, in equation A1 in LHS is tan phi prime, and you know for writing inverse we will write it tan phi because primed quantities are replaced by unprimed quantities. And in RHS there is tan phi, so writing the inverse we will write tan phi prime. and v is actually changed by minus v, but since here there is a square of v, so sign will be not changed, so this remains same. And but in denominator, since there is v, so if we will write minus v, here will be plus, so this will be 1 plus v by c cos phi prime. So this is actually the inverse of equation A1, and you may also call it a relativistic formula for aberration of light. And it is clear from here that if v is not equal to 0, then you can see that tan phi prime is not equal to tan phi, and this implies phi prime is not equal to phi. And when phi prime is not equal to phi, this is aberration of light. This is aberration of light. But at the same time, you can see if we assume that v is equal to 0, it means there is no relative motion between the source and the observer. Then if v is 0, then it is clear from equation A1 and A2, if v will be 0, then in RHS there will be tan phi only, because 1 minus v square by c square, v is 0, so this will be 1. And in denominator, v is 0, so v by c cos phi will be 0. So in this condition, you can say that this tan phi prime will be equal to tan phi, and this implies actually that phi prime will be equal to phi. So the cause of aberration of light is actually the relative motion between the source and the observer. So we see that actually the magnitude of velocity vector of light in free space remains constant. It is same in all inertial frames, but the direction of velocity vector actually changes in accordance with the relative velocity between the source and the observer, and actually this is aberration of light. Now after these relativistic results for aberration of light, we will actually discuss the classical result for aberration of light. And you know, for getting a classical result, we simply impose the relativistic condition on the relativistic result, simply the condition of classical limit on relativistic result, and then the relativistic result actually transform into the corresponding classical result. So now we will discuss classical result for aberration of light. Classical result for aberration of light. And to deal with this fact, we will start with any relativistic formula which we have obtained here in A1 or A2, and then we will impose the condition of classical limit on that equation. So let us consider the formula which we have obtained in this equation A1. So you can say, according to equation A1, what is equation A1? You can see here, this is equation A1, and we will write this equation first of all. So you can see this is actually tan phi prime equal to tan phi into root over 1 minus v square by c square. And if we write the term in the denominator in numerator, we can write it in this manner. This is 1 minus v over c cos phi whole to the power minus 1. Now you know in classical limit v is much smaller than c, And so in this condition, the terms containing v square by c square and higher powers of v by c can be neglected. So you can see in classical limit condition, we know that v by c is much smaller than 1. So the terms containing v square by c square and higher powers of v by, when you say higher power, it means v cube by c cube, v4 by c4 and so on, v by c can be neglected. Can be neglected. You know very well, because when we will consider this limiting condition, which is known as classical limit condition, then actually v square over c square will be very small and higher powers of v by c will be actually more and more smaller. So we can neglect those terms. So imposing this limiting condition on this general equation, which is a relativistic formula actually. So what will be our result? So in this condition, the above formula C here can be written as, this will be tan phi prime equal to tan phi, and let us neglect it. So v square over c square will be neglected, and here actually we will do the binomial expansion to the first approximation. It means 1 plus n up to 1 plus nx. So after the first approximation of binomial expansion of this term, you can see here, this will be in fact 1 plus v over c cos phi. I have actually neglected all the higher power terms. So this will be actually the classical, this is actually the classical result for the aberration of light. Now we will actually simplify this result to some extent. See here, what will be the equation number actually. You can see I have not perhaps assumed any equation. So let us say this is equation 1. Now this equation 1, as I have told you, this is actually the classical formula for aberration of light. So you may write this is classical formula for aberration of light. Aberration of light. And it is also clear from here that if v is not 0, then phi prime is not equal to phi. So you can see if v is not equal to 0, that is there is a relative motion between the source and the observer, then actually phi prime will be not equal to phi. So the classical formula also implies the same fact. Now actually we will see that what will be actually the apparent change in the direction measured by the two observers, and for that let us consider that the directions phi and phi prime actually differ very slightly. So let phi prime equal to phi plus delta phi. So that is, you can say that phi prime minus phi is equal to delta phi, and so this delta phi is actually the difference of the directions of propagation of light measured by the two observers. So this delta phi is actually the measure of aberration. This is measure of aberration. And now our aim is actually to find the value of this delta phi under the condition that this delta phi is very small. So now you can write the classical result which you have been defined in equation 1. As we have assumed that this phi prime is equal to phi plus delta phi, so we will simply substitute instead of phi prime phi plus delta phi in equation 1. So from equation 1, you can write that tan phi plus delta phi is equal to tan phi. Let us multiply these terms. Tan phi plus v tan phi by c cos phi. And now there will be a lot of algebra, and after simplifying those steps, we will actually find the value of this delta phi. So you can now see that what will be actually our result here. That tan phi plus delta phi equal to tan phi plus v tan phi plus by c cos phi. So you can see from here we can write this tan phi plus delta phi may be written as sin phi plus delta phi over cos phi plus delta phi, and this tan phi you may write it as, and let us take it in LHS. This term is taken in LHS. So we will write here minus sign. So this will be minus sin phi by cos phi. And in RHS you can see from here that when we will write this tan phi as sin phi by cos phi, then what will be our result? This will be v sin phi over c cos square phi. Now let us simplify the LHS by taking LCM here, and so you can see this will be cos phi into cos phi plus delta phi, and so this will be actually cos phi into sin phi plus delta phi. This is a simple calculation, simple algebra, and here cos phi will cancel and there will be minus sin phi into cos phi plus delta phi, and this is equal to v sin phi over c cos square phi. Now you can see this numerator. This is cos phi into sin phi plus delta phi minus sin phi into cos phi plus delta phi. This is just the formula sin A minus B. Here at the place of A is phi plus delta phi and at the place of B is phi. So you can write the numerator of this LHS as sin phi plus delta phi minus phi. This is just sin A minus B, and divided by, you can see this cos phi will actually cancel from here, this square will cancel, and so in denominator there will be cos phi plus delta phi, and in RHS the term will be V sine phi over C cos phi. Now you can see this pi and phi will actually cancel out, and so let us simplify to some extent this result. So you can see that this will be sine delta phi, and that is actually equal to V by C sine phi by cos phi into cos phi plus delta phi. Now, as I have told you that we are considering the value of delta phi very small. Actually, this is very small, as delta phi is very small. And you know, if angle is very small, let us say angle is theta, and that is very small, then sine theta is equal to theta and cos theta equal to 1. So in this limiting condition, when you consider that delta phi is very small, then what will be the above result? In fact, this sine delta phi will be now written as delta phi, and this will be V over C sine phi by cos phi. And since we have assumed that this delta phi is very small, so this cos phi plus delta phi will be simply equal to cos phi. In fact, we have neglected this delta phi in comparison to this phi here. And so this cos phi and cos phi will cancel out, and you can see that this angle delta phi is equal to V over C into sine phi. So this is the result, or you can say classical result, which actually measures the aberration of light. And from this formula, you can find what will be actually the maximum value of this delta phi. You know, sine phi maximum value is equal to 1. And therefore, if you want to find the maximum value of this delta phi, then that will be what? That will be simply V by C. And you know that this V is simply the orbital speed of the Earth, and you know that orbital speed of the Earth is 3 into 10 to the power 4 meter per second, and C is speed of light in free space, and you know it is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So you can see the maximum value of this delta phi is equal to simply 10 to the power minus 4 radian. You can imagine how much this delta phi is actually smaller, although it is maximum value. So in general, the value of delta phi will be less than this 10 to the power minus 4 radian, because this is the largest value of delta phi. So in fact, in practice, the aberration is very small, and so in practical experience it is sometimes neglected too. So this is all about the aberration of light. You have seen first of all the relativistic explanation or relativistic result for aberration of light, and after that we have actually imposed the classical limit condition on the relativistic formula and obtained the classical result for aberration of light. But finally you get that this aberration is actually very small. Its maximum value is only 10 to the power minus 4 radian. So I hope the concept of aberration of light has been definitely clear to you. And now in the second lecture we will discuss actually the Doppler effect, which is a very important phenomenon.